The Villisca Axe Murders, the house where 8 people were slaughtered. On the quiet evening of June 9, 1912, the small town of Villisca, Iowa, seemed like the perfect American community. Families gathered after church, children laughed in the streets, and neighbors knew each other by name. No one could have imagined that before sunrise, the town would become the scene of one of the most horrifying unsolved murders in American history. The Moore family, Josiah Moore, his wife Sarah, and their 4 children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul, returned home after a joyful church program. Their 2 young friends, Lena and Ina Stillinger, were invited to spend the night. The house soon fell silent. As the lights went out, 8 innocent people drifted off to sleep, completely unaware that someone was already inside the house, watching. Sometime after midnight, the intruder quietly entered the Moore home carrying a heavy axe that belonged to the family. He moved through the dark hallway with terrifying patience. His first victims were Josiah and Sarah Moore. The killer struck them repeatedly with such brutal force that the bedroom walls were stained with blood. But he wasn't finished. He slowly walked upstairs. One by one, he entered each bedroom where the children were sleeping. None of them had a chance to escape. By sunrise, all 8 people were dead. The murderer had spent hours inside the house after the killings, performing strange and disturbing actions that left investigators confused for decades. Every mirror in the home had been covered with clothing. Curtains were pulled shut. A piece of bacon and a bowl of food sat untouched on the kitchen table, as though the killer had calmly eaten after committing the murders. Even more chilling, the axe used in the attack had been carefully cleaned and left inside the house. When neighbors noticed that the Moore family had not come outside that morning, they became concerned. A neighbor entered the house. Within seconds, she screamed. The horrifying discovery shocked the entire town. News of the massacre spread across America within hours. Police arrived quickly, but the crime scene was already crowded with curious townspeople walking through the house, accidentally destroying valuable evidence. In 1912, forensic science was still in its early stages. There were no DNA tests. No security cameras. No fingerprints that could solve the case. Investigators were left with almost nothing. Soon, strange rumors began spreading. Some believed the murders were an act of revenge against Josiah Moore because of his successful business. Others suspected a traveling serial killer who had committed similar axe murders across several states. One suspect quickly attracted attention. A local minister named George Kelly had been in Villisca the night of the murders. Witnesses described him acting strangely, talking to himself, and behaving nervously. Years later, after intense questioning, Kelly confessed to the murders. But there was one major problem. His confession constantly changed. He gave conflicting details and later claimed he had been pressured into admitting a crime he didn't commit. Without solid evidence, the case against him collapsed. Another suspect was Frank Jones, a wealthy businessman who reportedly had a bitter rivalry with Josiah Moore. Some townspeople believed jealousy and personal revenge could have been the motive. However, investigators could never prove his involvement. As years passed, the mystery only deepened. The Villisca Axe murders became one of America's greatest unsolved crimes. The house itself still stands today. Visitors from around the world claim to hear children's voices echoing through the empty rooms. Some report unexplained footsteps, doors opening by themselves, and strange shadows moving through the hallways at night. Whether these stories are real or simply the power of imagination remains unknown. More than a century has passed since that terrible night. The identity of the killer has never been confirmed. No one has ever been convicted. And the question that continues to haunt historians and true crime investigators remains the same. Who entered the Moore house on that silent June night? And why did they murder 8 innocent people without leaving behind a single answer? The Villisca Axe murders remain one of the darkest chapters in American history, a mystery that refuses to die, even after more than 100 years.